Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? This is the Part-Time Artist Podcast. This is episode 190. We are closing on the double hundo mark. Thank you guys for tuning in and supporting local music. Checking out rad new bands here. Got a great one for you today. But before we get into that, want to let you guys know the radio show for 2024 is going to be live on December 31st. It's a Tuesday. Going to be live on YouTube with your songs. And then I'll upload the recording later. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. Kick off the end of 2024, hanging out with me in YouTube, and it's gonna be a great time. You're gonna hear some really great new music. I'm really stoked for this one. A lot of friends put out music in 2024, including me. Hey, I even have a brand new EP coming out on December 20th, Friday. Just throwing that out there. It's gonna be out there, and a lot of great music coming out in 2024. Also, things happening in 2024, Camp Punksylvania. I put a ticket link to that in the description. Definitely come hang out with me at Camp Punksylvania. It is the coolest music festival in the country, in the world. Trying to spread the word for Camp Punksylvania. Also, a couple affiliate codes if you want to support the podcast. You can check out Visible. That's my cell phone plan. If you sign up with my code, we both get a free month. It's like getting paid, but not really getting paid. But yeah, I get a free month, and you'll get a free month too. Also, DistroKid, you get 7% off of your DistroKid order. That's what I use to put all of my music on streaming services, and they're pretty cool. They got a cool customer, what is that called? Customer assistance. They're pretty reliable. They get back to you. So I'm okay with DistroKid. I heard there's some rumbling about they're not treating their employees right, so I'm a little bit on the fence about it, but I haven't really done my research, but that's what I use right now. There's also a link to donate, but most of all, it would be really awesome if you subscribed on YouTube. All right? YouTube is my passion. I say this every episode. I'm coming up with not only the podcast, but all other types of content to empower artists and creative people, things that I'm learning and relaying to you to make your life better and for all of us to stay creative. So I'm about 30 subscribers away from my goal for the year. So it'd be really clutch if you can help me hit my goal on YouTube. If you're already watching this on YouTube, I love you. Click that subscribe button, and I'll continue to keep rolling here. All right, I have with me a very, very special guest from the faraway lands of Ohio, my next door neighbor here in Pennsylvania. I have Luis from the group The Currents. Luis, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
How's the weather in Toledo right now?
It's I want to say 21 degrees right now. Even in my house, it's really cold, and I'm not trying to waste money on heat, so I've got the beanie and the jacket going. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there. It's definitely December now, it feels like. It's here.
Definitely.
So, all right, before we get started here talking about your tunes and your music, I really love your first EP. I'm super stoked to hear the next music that you have coming out. But before we talk about music, I wanted to know, I have a small list of the best and worst. I want to know what are the best and worst things, or what's the best and worst thing about something, all right? So the first best and worst thing, what's the best and worst thing about Ohio?
I would say the best thing about Ohio is, I mean, it could be a stretch, but I'm going to say the cost of living.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, I mean, again, there are many people who you know are struggling with that, but I mean, compared to other states, I feel like Ohio does have a better cost of living, where your wage kind of reflects. But again, it's a stretch, so.
It is a working class. It's a working class state for sure. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And I would say,
yeah, that is something that's cool about Ohio, is that it's a working class state, and yeah, you're not getting, you don't feel like you're necessarily getting bent over as much as you are in
yeah,
on the coast or whatever.
yeah.
What do you think the worst thing is? Everything else? No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. I mean, honestly, how flat it is, man. Like, I mean, you've got places, Rocking Hills, like down south, that kind of show off like this mountainous type of thing. But again, but yeah, how flat it is. You drive from, we're at the very top in Toledo. If you drive from Toledo to Cincinnati, literally like 90% of your drive is just flatlands, just plains.
Yeah, man. Well, sadly, that's the case for a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
All right. So now, what's the best and worst thing about being a musician?
I would say the best thing is honestly being able to translate your emotions and create into something that's artistic, and kind of just because like I would say a difficult time, expressing emotions, just to anyone, like if it's like a family member, a friend, a therapist or anything like that. But I feel like with music, I'm able to just fluently do it, release it, and just kind of release that art. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Basically, that having people that own it makes it 10 times better.
For sure. Yeah, man, because you can really connect with people at such a deeper level. And music is vibration, and the world is vibration. So, yeah, for sure. You can definitely... It's kind of like you're capturing a vibration almost when you write a song, and then you're giving it like a new life. It's probably one of the closest things, besides maybe making a movie, but it's like one of the closest things to like trying to share a memory with someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense.
What do you think the worst thing is about being a musician?
I would say specifically right now, just I would say the oversaturation of kind of the market. I mean, it's really nice to see that, a lot of people are finding comfort or just, wanting to make music. But, for people who want to do it, for a living, it's really tough just because you have to break through so many, barriers. Like, you have to start at like the local level, you have to go to like a regional level, state level, kind of break out of that. But again, a lot of people are making music, so it's not really a bad thing. But I mean, it's a little bit tougher nowadays.
Yeah.
To break through.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of bands out there.
Oh yeah.
Now, lastly, what's the best and worst thing about December? What do you think?
The best thing has to be Christmas. I mean,
classic.
you get to spend time with family, stuff like that. I'm a family guy. I love to spend time with my family, so seeing them means the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing, probably, I mean, for Ohio, the weather. Like, it's definitely the worst. Definitely the worst.
You get a lot of winds there, man. I drove through. I was driving back. I think I was driving back from Chicago one time, and I drove through some of the roughest winds in Ohio, man. It was like
at that lake there, man.
Ooh, it's chilling. So, and honestly, even speaking about that, talking about let's talk about your band. It's the Currents from Toledo, and you guys are like a relatively new band. And honestly, one of the things I wrote down is the way your music, it honestly has that feel of road trip music. It has, especially the EP, it has the feel of like something you'd get in your car and you'd put on when you're driving somewhere. And in my head, I was kind of like, I wonder if that was a subconscious thing because they're in Ohio, because I don't know, Ohio just seems like one of those like road trip places, because you could go north, you could go south, you could go east, you could go west. So is that like, do you guys have that did you have that approach at all, or that line of thinking where you're like, yeah, this is music that's gonna sound fun when people are driving around?
I would say towards the latter stages of the EP, kind of like just listening through like the masters as a full, project. I would say we had that thought, but initially going through it, it's just we were writing what we wanted to write and just what felt natural to us. And maybe it's like maybe Ohio is that instilled in us, but I mean, yeah, initially it wasn't, but towards the end we were kind of like, yeah, this is kind of cool, just to like drive to it essentially, like just put it in your car and just kind of go.
Wow. Now, you guys are like relatively a new band within the last few years, but you really do not sound new at all. It feels like on all fronts you have lyrics, you have vocals and drumming, like and the production of it all. It feels like you guys have been a band forever. How did you guys all come together?
So I personally started making music, I want to say around 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I did like, I just decided one day like, hey, like I've been playing guitar for X amount of years, and I started off as a drummer and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, maybe I should start listening music. So I kind of wrote some solo stuff, and then I released it. I mean, it's no longer up just because this is the main thing now.
Okay.
But yeah, but some of my friends were like, man, like you should probably get like a band and you guys should make music together, because that'd be kind of cool. So that being said, I hit up my friend Tanner. He's been my buddy for, I want to say, almost a decade now. Wow. It's just like, hey man, you start a band. So then we got another mutual friend in Emilio, who I used to work with, but I didn't really know well, and he is the drummer now and the producer of all of our music. Yeah, we just kind of formed this little Avengers group, I guess. And then our bass player, Matt, I met him through family connections. And honestly, the first time we played together, it was just instant chemistry. So we were like, yeah, we've got to do something about this.
Wow. Love at first sight. It's so cool how that comes together. It's also interesting, like when and this is something I try to get out in the universe. This is like a new thing that I'm latching onto, but as artists and as musicians, sometimes it's so hard to start, and we really need to like give ourselves that permission. And sometimes we need someone else to like push us for us to give ourselves that permission. And so it's really cool that you were able to find that and how everything came together so naturally. Let's dive in here. This is the first single that you guys did put out, which is a monster of a first tune here. This song is called Turning Red. Check it out. All right, that tune was called Turning Red, and it's the first song on the latest EP, soon to be the past release, but right now it's the latest EP called Other Lives, which came out in April of 2024. Now, one of my favorite things in the world is an intro song. I grew up with, Sum 41 and just all of these bands that had those types of, intro tracks to the album or to the release, and it just sets the tone. It kind of feels like when a boxer is walking out, you know what I mean? Like the walkout song. And I love we didn't put it in this time, but definitely please go check out the release so you can hear the intro song that goes in. It's thecurrentsband.bandcamp.com. I love that intro song. Where did that intro song come from? Was that, whose suggestion was that? How did it manifest itself?
Honestly, it was something that I just kind of threw out there. I was like, just writing the original song, just Turning Red. I was always like, how are we going to bring it in? Because right away, you have just the thunderous bass and the drums going at it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, the song is already, like almost 5 minutes, pushing, okay. I guess. And then I kind of brought it up with the guys and just like, yeah, let's do it. Let's write an intro. So I was just like, I kind of just told the drummer / producer, like, hey, come up with an intro, and he cooked what you're listening to. So
was it the last piece of the puzzle then, technically, or was it just? It's so interesting when like the intro song is the first song on the release, but the last song to get figured out or whatever. That's so interesting. What was, I guess, the writing process for that song in particular? How did that song come to be?
So I want to say, let's see. So it was about a year ago that song was finally, mixed, mastered and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 or 3 years prior to that, I came up with kind of like that lead riff, like right off the bat. It was just an idea that I kind of had, and I just sat on it for a really long time, just trying to see how I could craft it into a song. And as time went on, those 2 or 3 years, I just finished writing the lead, kind of added the rhythm guitar in there. I figured out the drums that I kind of wanted to do. So this song specifically, I wrote my in its entirety, the arrangement, the instrumentation and everything I wrote myself, and I've kind of brought it to the band. But then what you hear on the final recording is all of our parts tracked per specific member. So, but yeah, it was just that main riff that kind of started it all, and I kind of just took my time crafting it and figuring out the bass line and everything. Just definitely just time is what crafted this song, honestly.
Interesting. And then for the rest of the EP, was it kind of different? Was it that song that you were mostly spearheading, and then it got more collaborative with the other songs on the EP?
Correct.
So what do you feel like then? The EP is called Other Lives. What do you feel like you learned from this? First of all, I guess this is, I don't know if you guys were in other projects, but this is technically your first EP. What do you feel like you learned from the first EP, or what did you overcome with this first one?
Let's say what we learned was that we have really good chemistry in the studio. Because, I mentioned chemistry earlier, just getting in a room playing together. But I feel like in a studio, that's where you're essentially crafting what people are going to listen to, maybe on a daily basis, maybe on a monthly basis. Kind of like that first impression that you're basically creating. And, playing live and being in a studio is completely different, especially, if you're a musician, you guys know that. But yeah, right off the bat, we just knew we had chemistry in the studio. A couple disagreements here and there on certain parts, but nothing to where it came to blows or, arguments or anything like that. So it just kind of showed that, we have that level of maturity to handle writing creating art.
It really seems like, too, with the story of how you guys all came together and how the first song went a certain way. But even then, with the collaborative process of the intro song, it still does feel like it's a group project. And it does feel like with all of these, with all the things I'm hearing and the stories I'm hearing, it feels like, I think, the chemistry is in a good spot because it's about the music. Like, you guys have whatever tastes you guys have, you're aligning yourselves to make like the best possible song, regardless of where the idea comes from. Is that like how things are going right now?
You are hitting it right on the head, man. Hammer right on the head of the nail. Like, that's we literally just had a meeting because we're maybe we'll talk about it later at some point, but we were planning our debut album.
Yeah.
Kind of getting that right now. But basically one of the things that we highlighted was there's no such thing as egos in this band. Like, it doesn't matter how well, this person sings, this person drums, this person plays guitar or bass. Like, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the music that is written. So basically it's just putting our pride aside. I mean, not that we have any to begin with, but it's for the greater good, and the greater good of this band is just the music, because it's what we want to do. It's just the art that we love making.
With that being said, what's your favorite song on the EP?
Ooh, I'm going to say my heart tells me Turning Red, just because
the start of it all.
The start of it all, but after listening and kind of going back to it, it's definitely Other Lives.
Oh, so. Me too.
Yeah.
That's that's cool because I'm stoked. Mine too.
That's right.
And it is it's the title track for a reason, Yeah. Nice. Now, with all that said, let's get into your most recent single now. It's called End of the World. It's obviously, we're talking about the debut records coming out. So, introduce this song for us a little bit.
All right. So, End of the World, we started, usually all the songs start with kind of the rhythm guitar idea. I mean, with exception of Turning Red being, the lead part that started it all. It's usually just me writing on an acoustic guitar. You probably heard that story many times before, just the singer with his acoustic guitar.
Tried and true. Yeah.
Tried and true. But yeah, it's just right off the bat, just that chord progression, kind of had a vocal melody kind of figured out. And I'm just like, I brought it to the guys, like, let's write a song. So we tracked it in about a month. I want to say August, I believe, this past August. And then we just released it. Special announcement or anything. We just kind of like, hey, this song's coming out on Friday, the week of, and there we go.
Now, when it was you and that acoustic guitar, did you have to stop yourself? You're like, all right, I don't want to have it all, figured out. I want to leave some room for input, or did you just at the next practice you're like, I might as well bring this thing up that I've been working on?
I kind of stopped myself from it just because we were gigging and stuff like that, and we're just wanting to rehearse, not get too deep in, because once we get started with a song idea or something, that's all we're zoned in on. So kind of kept it to myself for a bit, and then I showed him, and then that's when we were just like, this has got to be released, or tracked and then released. So
right on. So let's get into that tune. This song is called End of the World. Check it out.
What is the aim of being alive? 'Cause someday we will die. Now want to escape. It's so scary, there's a place without me. Scary, there's a place without me. Terrified of losing faith, the rest of you can feel it while I wait for the end. I wait for the end. I wait for the end of the world.
All right, that tune was called End of the World, and once again, the Bandcamp is thecurrentsband.bandcamp.com. It's a really simple Bandcamp because you got the EP and you got this, the new single, and then eventually we're going to have a debut album. And speaking of all of this, we're writing the debut album right now. And this is really cool for me because most of the time, or actually almost all of the time, that I get to talk to people, it's when the stuff is done already. So it's kind of all in retrospect. So or hindsight or whatever. And this is cool because I feel like I'm talking to you while it's happening now, which is a really cool energy. What is the vibe of the writing process right now?
Phew. I would say it's, I don't know.
Are you
would say-
having fun?
Oh yeah, we're having fun. No, it's mostly just excitement.
Right,
We
yeah.
really just want to give it our all. I mean, because the other three, like this is my first band, but for the other three in the band, it's their third, fourth, whatever band.
Okay.
And I mean, for this one, we're only getting older, so we're just gonna give it our all and see what happens. Like we're just leaving no stone unturned. So it's like just soldiers getting ready for battle. Honestly,
Yeah.
we're gonna leave it all out there.
Where how along in the process are we? Like how many songs do we think we're at? Or what's our goal amount or
So let's see. So like I mentioned, we had a meeting about like just the expectations, I guess. But
okay.
so I would say we're about one song in, but we want around 8 to 10 songs. So we'll see what's up. I mean, yeah, probably 8 songs, but just really like they've got to be the ones. And then
Uh-huh.
I would say 10 tracks listed because we got to throw a couple intros in there or maybe some interludes. So
Are
yeah,
any
that's-
are the songs from the last EP gonna be in the album, or is this gonna be all new stuff?
all new stuff. All new stuff.
Do we have an album title yet?
We do not. I save it. I save it once everything is written. All the lyrics are
Sure.
written and everything. So we'll see, man.
I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. How do you feel like, and we touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel the process of you guys as a band? How has the process evolved from the Other Lives EP into this album?
I would say, I mean, just based on time, it took a whole year for us to just track other lives, but because I mean, there were personal things that were happening for each of the members, commitments, such like that. But I feel like this time around, like with the process evolving, it's just we're more efficient. We kind of know what we want to hear from the songs when the ideas are there. Because I felt like writing that EP, some parts weren't figured out as soon as when we were tracking and stuff like that. Which usually you like to have the idea, but maybe just a little bit less of figuring out things on the spot. Which isn't a bad thing because the record sounds really good with what we figured out during the session. But I feel like with this process on the next album, everyone's gonna have. It doesn't have to be spot on what they're gonna track, but just the idea is gonna be there and it'll make everything run smoother. And that's why we're kind of just getting it done now. So
Now, is everybody like kind of relatively close by? Everybody is in the Toledo area?
Oh yeah, yep.
Cool. And I guess the only other question I want to know, because I haven't really, it feels like Ohio has been very quiet.
Yeah.
What I just haven't heard from too many people, and here in Philly, there's been a couple folks from Ohio passing through, but not as many as there used to be. What's going on in the Ohio scene? Is there anything you can relay to us about Ohio?
uh, I would say a lot of drama, but I
A lot
mean,
of drama.
I kind of just like myself, I kind of just stay away from that, remove myself from it, and I'm just focused on writing music. I know, the other three, they're a little bit more involved. They have friends who work in at certain venues and stuff like that, so they have more of the story. So unfortunately, I don't have those. But I
Hmm.
mean, right now with Toledo, I can say that it's a very young. Uh, a lot of the bands are very young and still trying to find their niche, I guess, or just their sound. So I mean, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, I mean, there might be more of a presence.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, I can't speak for the bigger cities like Cleveland or Columbus or anything like that. But for Toledo, I feel like music scene is about to produce some really good talents. I mean, there are already good talents here, and like I said, just give it like 3 to 5 years maybe, and there'll be some good bands passing through Philly again.
Nice. That's good to hear, because I mean there was a while like before COVID where like Columbus was like, oh my God, you got to go to Columbus. You got to
Yeah.
play a house show or play at this spot. And then it just kind of like disappeared.
Yeah.
Like I stopped hearing those rumors altogether. Um, and there was really cool spots in Cleveland too. Like I love the Coda spot, which I think is still alive, still around, which is,
We can play there. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like spots like that are so essential
Yes.
for music scenes and touring bands and local bands. Like that spot was bumping.
Yeah.
Now the album, going back to the album,
Yeah.
it's where I think we are trying to put it out in the universe that it's going to be released in the fall.
Yes.
But it's realistically like, well, we have to have it written before we can release it, right? Like what is the timeline aside, what is like the real goal for you and for you guys for this album?
Honestly, like, I could probably speak for the band on this one as well. It's just to release this work of art and just to have people listen to it. Everyone says like, oh, like we want this album to blow up. We want it to be, to make us big, I guess.
Yeah.
But honestly, with this, we just want people to hear the art, just to hear where we're coming from, kind of just to relate to the music. And if anything were to happen with it, I mean, good on us. Like let's go for it. But ultimately, that's not. So I feel like if we're focused on something if we're just focused on that, it's going to take away from like the true emotion of the music. So we have to fall in love with the music before we can fall in love with anything else beyond that. So we just want people to
Totally.
listen to it, to receive it in a way that we receive it.
Yeah, I love that. Every time I was putting out a release and I'm listening to the mixes, and then when it's mastered and I'm listening to it over and over again, I'm just like, this is going to change the world, man. This is going to, nobody even knows how great this is about to be. And then it comes out and I'm looking back on it, and it's like already half of the next album is like getting written, and I'm just like, man, this is not as good as the stuff I'm writing now. It's just
Hey man, yep,
the paradox, dude, the paradox.
that's right.
There has to be a psychology term for that. But anyway, stoked for that album to come out, stoked for the next singles to come out, obviously. Last tune here. that we'll play is the last tune from the first EP. It's called Currents. Where Did You Go? Rip on, everybody. Stay creative.